As we watch these live pictures coming to us now, this was a plane that was sent by President Biden when he declared a period of national mourning, a 30-day period of national mourning after it was announced that President Carter had died. And this is one of the ways that President Biden wanted to honor his friend Jimmy Carter, someone he had a long history with, by sending this jet to accompany to bring him back to Washington for the ceremonies that will take place in Washington over the next couple of days, and then to return him back to Georgia for his burial on Thursday. Again, this is an airplane that has been dubbed a special Air Mission 39 in honor of the fact that President Carter was the 39th president of the United States.
So it's a little bit ahead of schedule, just by about 1 minute. So that's that precision we're talking about here. So 12:45 is when it was projected to depart for Washington, which is happening live on air as we speak. It's expected to get to Maryland, to Joint Base Andrews, around 2:15. And then at 2:45, that motorcade will depart for the U.S. Navy Memorial. And we have had extensive coverage on former President Jimmy Carter. You just heard Doug Reardon say it himself there, mentioning his time in the Navy. It's very important to the former president's life. He graduated from the Naval Academy in 1946. But in 2005, the U.S. Navy actually christened the last of its Seawolf-class nuclear-powered fast attack submarine the USS Jimmy Carter. So that's why they're stopping there first. This was a pivotal part of the former president's life. So from there, at 3:30, that motorcade will arrive at the U.S. Navy Memorial, and his remains will be transferred from a hearse to a horse-drawn caisson.
That's right. Sorry about that noise there in the background. But you talk about how, and Doug talked about how President Carter's sort of stamp is all over these events that are being carried out today.
Right.
And he did, of course, have a lot of input in what we are watching unfold. But then there are traditions that are in place, that would be in place for any former president. And we should mention that when the president's casket is driven to the U.S. Capitol building, it will sit on a caisson that was the same caisson that carried the body of Abraham Lincoln after his assassination in 1865. And so there are a number of traditions that are being carried out and followed today as we watch these events unfold. Really history in the making as we say goodbye to the 39th president of the United States, the only president to have hailed from the state of Georgia. So a very special significance for people here in our state as we say goodbye to this man who meant so much, not just to the people here in Georgia, but to people around the country and around the world as we watch. And let's just be quiet here and watch the liftoff, the takeoff of Special Air Mission 39, carrying the late President Jimmy Carter. Here it is. And there it is, flying off into the distance, getting smaller and smaller on our screen, heading north to Andrews Air Force Base in Washington for a series of events that will take place there over the next couple of days. The former president will lie in state under the Capitol Rotunda. There'll be a service this afternoon that will feature speeches from Vice President Kamala Harris, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, all there to honor the late president. He will then lie in state under the rotunda where the general public will be able to come and pay their respects, much as they were able to at the Carter Center here in Atlanta over the last couple of days. And then Thursday morning, the president's casket will be moved from the Capitol building to the National Cathedral for his memorial service, where there will be a number of eulogies delivered, including eulogy from President Biden, in addition to 2 eulogies that will be read by the relatives of the men who wrote them, because the men who wrote them are no longer with us. Walter Mondale, who was Jimmy Carter's vice president, he wrote a eulogy that will be read by his son. And the man who President Carter beat in order to get to the White House, Gerald Ford's son, will read a eulogy that was written by the late President Ford before he died. And so we'll be hearing some voices from the past, but very significant voices, all in remembrance and in tribute to a great American who died last week at the age of 100.
And we appreciate you watching this historic moment along with us. This was the last time the former President Jimmy Carter will leave the state of Georgia. But remember that we have so much coverage on his life and his legacy, and of course his funeral services on our website and our app. It's our Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us streaming live on ANF Plus, Atlanta News First Plus. You can find that anywhere you stream: Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and YouTube.